Dr. Shell here. I'm actually, this is my backyard, and I'm out here because I think we might have a snow day. Like, I think it's going to snow, like really snow. Like, this is my backyard after we had that first couple of inches of snow on Monday, or Sunday night, Monday, and now we're supposed to get a whole bunch of snow. Like, we haven't had a really big snow in a long time. So I'm really excited. And, you know, I got to thinking about snow, and, you know, in the Bible, there's not a lot of references to snow. There's a few, because it did snow in Israel, although it's mostly pretty hot and deserty. But there are places in Israel that will get snow from time to time. And there's a famous mountain in the north of Israel called Hermon, and it would have snow at the very tippy top for a lot of the year. So in the Bible, there's a few references to snow, and I think it would be interesting to talk about a couple of them. One of the things that when snow is mentioned in the Bible, it usually has to do with the idea that it's cold. And I'm cold. Can you see my breath? It's freezing out here. This is you know, do you ever do something and you thought it was a good idea when you thought of it, but then when you did it, you thought, wow, that was a bad idea. Like, it's really cold out here. Oh, look at these cool mittens. My daughter got me these. I don't know. They're not really mittens. I don't know what these are. I feel like Tiny Tim, like, please, sir. Like, I don't know. But at any rate, so in the Bible, when it talks about snow, it often talks about it in terms of being cold. Because, again, in a place where it's hot most of the time, having something that was cold would be really cool. And in particular, it talks about God's grace in our lives, and people speaking kindly and forgiveness is like cold snow water from the mountains. So you can imagine if you had lived in the time when it was so hot and deserty, and if there was a mountain that had snow and that snow melted and that cold water came down, oh, that would sound good. It says just like snow in the harvest time. So the idea that, you know, right in the middle of the hottest part of the year when you're harvesting, wouldn't it be wonderful to have snow to come and cool you down? And so the Bible talks about snow in reference to cold, and then it also talks about snow and talk about just how God is so powerful and He controls everything, and the idea that God makes it rain and snow and thunder and ice. They thought that was so cool that God could control those things. But the most interesting thing, that when the Bible talks about snow, it talks about how white it is, how pure it is. And, you know, if you had looked in my backyard a couple of weeks ago, it's all muddy. That part down there, because the water drains that way, and when we get a lot of rain, it gets really kind of muddy and gross, and not until spring does it really, you know, look any better. But when it's covered with snow, it's just white and pure and clean. And in the Bible, there's a famous psalm called Psalm 51. And David has committed a terrible sin with Bathsheba. Some of you may know about that story. But David was feeling really bad and really guilty about his sin. And he realized that he had sinned against Bathsheba. He had sinned against Uriah. He had sinned against the people of Israel. And he had sinned mostly against God. And he was really realizing that he was needed to get right with God. And he poured out his heart to God in Psalm 51. And you should read it. And he says, God, I want you to forgive my transgressions. I want you to forgive my sin. And he says, if you will forgive me, wash me with hyssop, and I will be pure. Cleanse me, and I will be white like snow. And so, and by the way, hyssop is an herb that grows in Israel. It sort of smells kind of minty. And when they gave a sacrifice, some of the sacrifices required that it be burnt with hyssop. And it had this aroma that made it smell good. And it was just It was an herb that was connected with the idea of forgiveness and cleansing. Okay, so right in the middle of recording my message, my iPad died. I think it was like because it's so cold out here, I think it just sucked the battery life. So I had to switch videos. So I'm back with a different video here. And now it's really starting to come down here. It's I don't know if you can see it in the video. We'll have to wait and see in editing. But when David says that he wants God to cleanse him with hyssop, he wants him to clean up his life. He wants him to sort of make things right. And he wants God to cleanse him so he'll be white like snow. And snow is so white and so pure. And it became a way for David to talk about wanting to be right with God and getting his heart in the right place. And I don't know about you boys and girls, but there's just times when I know that I have upset somebody and I have let God down. I've let myself down. I said some things that I shouldn't have said because I was angry or I was frustrated. And we can go to God and ask his forgiveness, and he will forgive us. And he will make us white as snow. You know, I'm going to pull this over here. You can see, this right here is actually that's my truck. And it's actually black. I don't know if you can see down there. It's a black truck. It is, but covered with snow, it's white. It's pure, it's clean. And our hearts get dirty, our hearts get filthy, our hearts get full of crud. But thankfully God, with his grace, will cover us and we can be pure. And the Bible uses the image of sort of being washed and being clean and being just like white snow. And so, boys and girls, I hope that you're safe. I hope you stay warm. And I hope that you will take good care of yourself. And most of all, I hope that you will ask God to make your heart clean and pure and right with him. Because Jesus died on the cross to forgive our sin so that we could be right with God and have our sins washed away and be pure and be with God. So, at any rate, I'm going to get out of this cold. I'm going to go inside where it's nice and warm, and I hope you will too. And pray for me. I'm praying for you. I sure miss us being together, but I hope you have a fun day in the snow this week. And stay safe, and I will talk to you later. This is Dr. Shell out here in the freezing cold, and I will talk to you later. Bye.